42 account managers sat in the glass conference room of Sterling and Associates on a Tuesday morning in March. Every one of them wore navy blazers. Every one of them had been with the firm for at least 7 years. Then the elevator opened and Marcus Webb walked in, faded polo shirt, worn work boots. Behind him, a 5-year-old girl clutching a blue stuffed rabbit named Pepper. The room went silent. Not the silence of respect, the silence of people trying not to laugh. One of them whispered it. Did he bring his daughter to work? The head of the division, Catherine Stiles, stood up. She had been CEO for 14 months. She looked at Marcus and smiled. Not a kind smile. A smile that said she had made a decision. 30 seconds later, she assigned him the 3 worst accounts in the company's 20-year history. Clients who had bankrupted the last 4 people who touched them. Clients who didn't want to be saved. What happened in the next 7 months would change everything Catherine thought she knew about failure. Stay with this one. It earns it. Marcus did not argue. He did not explain. He took Pepper from his daughter's hands and tucked her into the crook of his arm. The conference room chairs turned in unison. 42 pairs of eyes watched as he walked toward the door. His boss called after him. These accounts are yours, Marcus. You'll be managing them alone. No support team. No resources. Just you. He nodded. He did not turn around. He did not say a word. His daughter Emma was 6. She had her mother's eyes and a habit of asking questions that had no good answers. Daddy, why were they laughing? They were walking through the lobby now, past the waterfall sculpture, past the glass walls that showed the city below. Marcus pressed the button for the elevator. The floor numbers climbed slowly. 5, 6, 7. Sometimes, he said, people laugh because they don't understand something yet. Emma held Pepper tighter. Will they understand us? The elevator doors opened. They stepped inside. He did not answer that question. Not because he didn't know, because he did. The apartment was small. 2 bedrooms. The kitchen window faced the brick wall of another building. Marcus had lived there for 3 years. Since the accident, his wife Sarah had been the account manager. The brilliant one. The one who could walk into a room full of angry clients and walk out with a contract and 3 new accounts besides. She had been 28 years old. She had been coming home from a client dinner when the car swerved. It had been 11:47 in the evening. The police had called at 12:15. Emma had been 3 years old then. Now she was 6 and she remembered very little except that Pepper had been a gift from Mommy. And that Mommy wasn't coming back. Marcus worked nights now. Security at a warehouse 3 blocks away. 8 to 4 in the morning. He made enough to pay rent and buy Emma's school lunch. Enough to keep them. Not enough to live. Not enough to forget. It was Tuesday, then Wednesday. Wednesday, then Saturday. Marcus took the Pepper to Emma's soccer games on Saturdays. She was not a soccer player. She was 5 years old and she could not kick and she did not understand the rules. But Marcus took her anyway. He sat on the metal bleachers and he held Pepper beside him like Pepper was watching too. Like Pepper cared about the outcome. By the 3rd Saturday, another parent had noticed. His name was Thomas. He was 72 years old and he had managed some of the biggest accounts in the city back when such things mattered. He did not have grandchildren. He came to the games because he liked watching children run around in uncertain directions. He sat down next to Marcus, not next to Emma. Next to Marcus. She's not very good, is she? Thomas said. Marcus shook his head. Terrible. Thomas laughed. Good. The world has enough good soccer players. They sat together for the rest of the game. Thomas told Marcus about the work he had done, about the 3 major companies he had turned around, about the time he had spent 6 months with a client who wanted to fire everyone and start over. That client, Thomas said, is now worth $200 million. We still talk. Every Christmas. Marcus did not tell Thomas where he worked now. He did not tell him about the warehouse. He did not tell him about the 3 impossible accounts. Monday morning came around again. Marcus walked into Sterling and Associates at 8:47 in the morning. He was supposed to be there. It was part of the assignment. He had an office now, a small one on the 9th floor. It overlooked the parking garage. The first account was called Meridian Tech. They had lost 17 consecutive clients in the last 5 years. Their product was good. Their management was chaos, fighting among the 3 founders. No clear direction. The previous account manager had lasted 4 weeks. He had sent a resignation email and never come back. Marcus did not start with a meeting. He did not call anyone. He went to their office. It was in a converted warehouse downtown. The founders were there. David, whose idea had started it all. Marcus, who had come second and hated being second. And Jennifer, who had joined last and tried to fix everything and fixed nothing. They were in the middle of an argument when Marcus walked in. They did not notice him for almost a minute. He stood by the door with a notebook in his hands, and he said nothing. When they finally saw him, they stopped. David spoke first. "You're from Sterling?" Marcus nodded. "I'm here to listen." He said nothing else. He sat down. He opened the notebook. He listened. It took Marcus 3 weeks to understand what Meridian Tech actually was. It was not a broken company. It was 3 people who had stopped speaking to each other. It was a product that worked, but a vision that had shattered into 3 separate directions. It was people trying to build something together after they had stopped believing they could. He did not tell them this. He did not run a meeting. He did not create a presentation. He sat with each founder separately. He listened. He asked a single question every time. "What were you trying to build before it broke?" David talked about the original vision. Marcus listened. He took notes. He asked David to write it down, to put it on a single page. David did. The page was handwritten, sloppy. The words crossed out and rewritten. It was the most authentic thing Marcus had seen in weeks. By week 4, Marcus had 3 pieces of paper, one from each founder, 3 separate visions that, when placed on the table together, revealed something they had missed. They were not fighting about the product. They were fighting about purpose. They wanted different things, but they wanted them for the same reason. Because they cared. Marcus did not explain this to them in a meeting. He printed the 3 pages. He laminated them. He presented them side by side on the conference table during a formal meeting. The 3 founders came in angry, prepared to fight. They saw the 3 pages and they stopped. David read Jennifer's vision. "That's beautiful," he said. Jennifer read Marcus's original note. She cried. Marcus, the second founder, looked at the laminated papers. He said nothing for a long time. Then he said, "This is what I wanted all along. I just didn't know how to say it." By the next Tuesday, Meridian Tech had hired 15 new people, and they had positioned themselves for their first major contract in 2 years. The account was not saved by Marcus. It was saved by Marcus seeing what they needed. The CEO had given him impossible work. The CEO had not expected him to fix it. Catherine Stiles did not know what Marcus was doing. She had given him the accounts to break him, to prove to him that his place was not at Sterling and Associates, that some people belonged in warehouses and some people belonged in conference rooms. She did not have time to track his progress. She had her own pressure. The board was questioning her leadership. 3 major clients had left since she arrived. She had been brought in to fix things. Instead, things were breaking. She was going to fire Marcus Webb anyway. This was always the plan. Let him fail, then let him go. But then something happened that she did not plan for. The second impossible account was called Horizon Insurance. They had been with Sterling for 22 years. They had never missed a payment. They had never complained about anything. Then their founder retired and his son took over. The son did not understand insurance. He understood technology and he wanted to turn Horizon into a tech company. The investors panicked. 3 board members had already quit. Sterling's previous account manager had recommended they terminate the relationship. It was not worth the headache. Marcus visited Horizon on a Friday afternoon. He brought Emma with him. She was not supposed to be there. It was his day off and his babysitter had canceled. So Pepper came to work. The new founder, Michael, was in the office. He was 31 years old and he was doing everything wrong and he knew it. He was sitting at his desk with his head in his hands. Emma walked up to him. Pepper in her small hands. "Are you sad?" she asked. Michael looked up. He was expecting to see a client. He saw a small girl with a stuffed rabbit. "Yes," he said. "I'm very sad." Emma sat down in the chair across from him. "Want to tell me about it?" Michael spent an hour talking to Emma about his vision for Horizon, about the technology he wanted to build, about how everyone thought he was crazy, about how his father had understood insurance for 40 years and Michael understood none of it. Emma nodded. She listened the way her father had taught her to listen, without judgment, without trying to fix things. When Michael was done talking, Emma said, "My mom was really good at her job. My dad is too. But I think they're good because they listen, like I'm doing. You should listen to the people who know insurance." Michael hired a new chief operating officer that week, someone who understood insurance completely, someone who could balance his technology vision with the company's foundation. That person came from a firm Marcus knew. Marcus had made a single phone call. That was all. The account not only stabilized, it grew. Horizon reported 6 months later that they had their strongest quarter in 5 years. Michael sent a letter to Catherine Stiles. In the letter, he thanked Marcus by name. He said that Marcus had not told him what to do. Marcus had simply created space for him to figure it out. He said he would be with Sterling and Associates for the next 10 years. Minimum. It was 3:30 on a Thursday afternoon when Catherine received the letter. She was in her office on the top floor. The view was expansive. She could see the entire city from where she sat, but she did not look out. She looked at the letter, at the signature, at the words, "Account Manager Marcus Webb has been invaluable to us." She had given Marcus Webb 3 impossible accounts. She had expected him to fail. She had expected to fire him after 6 months. 3 months had passed. 2 accounts had not only been saved, they had transformed. They had become growth engines. She had no explanation for this. She called her assistant. "Find everything we have on Marcus Webb, his evaluations, his history, everything." The file was thin. Marcus had been with Sterling and Associates for 2 years. He was a junior account manager. The designation meant he was not trusted with important clients. Meant he was at the bottom of the organizational structure. His evaluations were marked competent, reliable, nothing more. Before Sterling, the file showed he had worked at a warehouse. Before the warehouse, there was a gap, a space where a job should be listed. Nothing filled it. Catherine did something she had never done before. She called Thomas Harmon. Thomas was 73 now. He was a consultant. He had worked in the industry for 50 years. He had connections everywhere. Catherine had met him at a charity event years ago. He had told her he was watching the soccer fields now instead of managing accounts. She asked him a single question. "Do you know a man named Marcus Webb?" There was a pause on the other end. A long pause. Then Thomas laughed. "I know his daughter," he said. "I know them both. They come to my granddaughter's soccer games. He's the one sitting on the bleachers with the stuffed rabbit, yes?" Catherine felt something shift inside her, something like understanding beginning to form. Thomas continued, "I don't know his full history, but I know this. The man has more natural talent than anyone I've seen in 40 years. More than me. More than you, I imagine. You're hiring someone very dangerous, Catherine. In the best way. Someone who actually listens." The third impossible account was called Vertex Communications. They had gone through 7 account managers in 18 months. The company was a startup. Young, brilliant, chaotic. They did not know how to scale. They did not know how to keep a team stable. They had fired people. Then those people had sued. Then there was an investigation. The board was split between shutting down and starting over. The previous account manager from Sterling had walked away. He had sent one sentence in his resignation. "This account is radioactive." Marcus visited them on a Tuesday morning. He did not have Emma with him this time. He had left her with his neighbor. The office was in controlled chaos. Everyone was talking over everyone. Everyone was working on 4 things at once. Marcus found the CEO, a woman named Rebecca, who was 32 years old and terrified. She was sitting in a corner office trying to manage email from 3 different devices. Marcus knocked on the open door. "I'm from Sterling," he said. Rebecca looked up. She looked exhausted. "Here to tell me we're a lost cause?" Marcus shook his head. "Here to listen." He sat down. He asked nothing. He waited. Rebecca told him everything. About the vision. About the scaling problems. About the people she had fired because she didn't know how to manage them. About the lawsuits. About the investors who were ready to walk. She talked for 2 hours. Marcus took 1 page of notes. At the end, Rebecca asked, "Can you help us?" Marcus said, "I think so," but not alone. He made 3 phone calls that night. One to a management consultant he knew. One to a lawyer who specialized in employment disputes. One to a business coach who had worked with startups before. These were not Sterling people. These were people from his own network. People he knew from his time before the accident, before the warehouse, before the assignment. Within 8 weeks, Vertex had restructured their management. Within 4 months, they had settled the lawsuits. Within 6 months, they had grown from 12 to 40 employees without any departures. Rebecca sent a message to Catherine Stiles. In the message, she said that Marcus Webb had not managed her account. He had assembled the right people, given them clear direction, and then stepped back. She said she would be moving Vertex's entire business to Sterling and Associates. She said it was the best decision she had ever made. The message arrived on 7:15 on a Tuesday morning. Catherine read it before she drank her coffee. She read it twice. By week 19, the pattern was undeniable. All 3 accounts were not only stable, they were growing. Meridian Tech had signed 2 major contracts. Horizon Insurance had entered new markets. Vertex Communications was valued at $400 million, and they credited Sterling with part of that growth. The other 42 account managers at Sterling and Associates had noticed. They noticed that Marcus Webb, the man in the faded polo shirt, had been given the 3 worst accounts in the company. They noticed that those accounts had become 3 of the best. They did not know how he had done it. Marcus did not tell them. He did not speak about his accounts. He did not share his method. He came to work. He did his job. He went home to Emmer and Pepper. It was 2:15 on a Friday afternoon when Catherine Stiles called Marcus into her office. He knew what this was about. He had known it would come. The office was on the 43rd floor. The view was impossible. You could see the entire region from where she sat. The mountains were visible on a clear day. This was not a clear day. Marcus stood by the door. Catherine did not tell him to sit. "Your accounts," she said. "Walk me through what you did." Marcus considered the question. He did not answer it. He asked one instead. "Why did you give them to me?" Catherine did not respond immediately. "Because I wanted you to fail." Marcus nodded. "And now?" Catherine stood up. "Now I want to understand." Marcus took a breath. "I listened," he said.
That's all.
"I listened to what they needed. Not what I thought they needed, what they actually needed. Then I found the people who could provide it. Then I stepped back." Catherine walked to the window. She looked out at the city that was not visible today. "I brought you in here to fire you," she said. 6 months ago, that was always the plan. You were a test, a way to prove that hiring people from outside the industry was a mistake. I was wrong." She turned around. "I don't make mistakes often, Marcus. When I do, I own them completely. I was wrong about you. I was wrong about your ability. I was wrong about your place here." Marcus said nothing. Catherine continued, "I want to offer you a position. Head of the Client Transformation Division. You would manage these 3 accounts yourself. You would take on new, impossible accounts. You would build a team around your method. The salary would be 3 times what you're making now. Benefits. A clear path to partnership." Marcus listened. He let the words settle. "There's a condition," Catherine said. "My daughter," Marcus said. "Emma needs to know that you understand what you did to me, that you understand the humiliation, that it mattered." Catherine nodded. She pressed a button on her intercom. "Call an all-hands meeting," she said. "Conference room. 30 minutes." 30 minutes later, the entire company was assembled. All 42 account managers, all the support staff, the interns, everyone. Catherine stood at the front. Marcus stood near the back. Emma was not there. Pepper was. Marcus held her like she was a talisman. Catherine looked at the room. She looked at Marcus. 19 weeks ago, she said, "I made a decision. I assigned 3 of our worst accounts to Marcus Webb. I did this because I wanted him to fail. I did this because I thought people from outside our world did not belong here. I was wrong. I need to say that again because it matters. I was wrong. These 3 accounts are now 3 of our strongest. Meridian Tech has transformed. Horizon Insurance has entered 3 new markets. Vertex Communications is worth $400 million. And Marcus did all of this not by imposing his will, but by listening, by finding exactly the right people, by creating conditions for success instead of demanding it." She paused. "I humiliated you in front of this room," she said directly to Marcus. "You did not deserve that. You never did. And I am deeply sorry for it. I am sorry for doubting you. I am sorry for the test. I am sorry for everything." The room was silent. Not the silence of people trying not to laugh. The silence of people who understood something had shifted, who understood that they had witnessed something important. Catherine walked toward Marcus. She did not stop until she was standing directly in front of him. Then she did something unexpected. She lowered herself. She crouched down until she was at eye level with Pepper. "Hello," she said to the stuffed rabbit. "I owe you an apology too, because you watched over Emma while her dad was fixing the things I broke." She stood back up. She extended her hand to Marcus. He took it. The room erupted, not in celebration, in recognition, in understanding that something true had just happened. That power had inverted in a single moment, that the person who had the most to lose had admitted it completely. Marcus accepted the position. He accepted the salary. He accepted the partnership track, but he told Catherine one more thing. "I need flexibility," he said. "Emma comes first, always. If she needs me, I go. If there's a school event, I'm there. If there's a day when she just needs her dad, that's what happens." Catherine nodded. "That was part of the offer," she said. "The partnership is yours, but it's yours on your terms, not ours." The new position began the following Monday. Marcus had a larger office, a real team, resources. For the first time in 3 years, the apartment felt smaller but safer. Emma asked him that night, "Are we moving?"
They were making pancakes.
His specialty, the kind Sarah used to make. "Maybe someday," Marcus said. "Why?" Emma put Pepper on the kitchen counter. Pepper could watch. "Because you're happy again," Emma said. "And when you're happy, everything feels possible." Marcus set down the spatula. He pulled Emma up and he held her. He did not cry. He did not celebrate. He simply held his daughter while the pancakes cooled on the griddle. By the time they had turned cold, he had rearranged his entire internal landscape. He had gone from failing to succeeding, not because he was different, but because someone had finally stopped dismissing him long enough to actually look. And once they did, once they really saw what he was, they could not unsee it. The pancakes went into the trash. He made new ones. Emma sat at the table. Pepper sat across from her, and Marcus started cooking again, knowing that this time the meal was not born out of survival. It was born out of something that looked a lot like hope.